This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good morning and welcome to this morning's newscast on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. Come October 22nd, several criminal charges will be read to Digicel Guyana and its Chief Executive Officer, Gregory Dean, for the unauthorized use of spectrum and failure to comply with notices to seize such acts. Spectrum refers to the frequencies that are used to transmit sound and data across the country to phones. Filing the said charges was Prime Minister with responsibility for the telecommunications sector, Mark Phillips. It was noted in court documents that Dean, between September 25th and October 1st, knowingly authorized, permitted, or keysed in the company's failure to comply with directions issued under the Telecommunications Act and regulations to seize authorized usage within 24 hours of the said notice. The court documents further stated that between December 1st, 2020 and October 4th, 2021, Digicel Guyana made use of spectrum in the 1800 MHz band without having proper authorization. During the period November 11, 2020 and October 1st, 2021, the telecommunications giant made use of spectrum in the 700 MHz band without the requisite permit. And in other news, parties involved in the libel matter between Kaieteur News and former NISL CEO Winston Brassington have failed to reach a consensus for the payment of approximately $18 million judgment awards. The court was left to allow the lawyers to file written submissions for each application. The submissions are expected to be filed by October 28th and November 11th. Then the court will rule on whether that should be ruled on the respective applications. Attorneys representing both parties met virtually before Justice Nareshwar Harnanan at the High Court yesterday to discuss the application to suspend a garnishment order against the newspaper as well as the application to appoint a receivership for the news company's assets. The matter stemmed from an ongoing legal battle between Brassington and Kaieteur News dating back to 2014, when Brassington filed 19 separate lawsuits for libel against Kaieteur News after contents published in the satirical Dem Boys column. And now let's tell you, 42-year-old Sharon Hicks, Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, was on Thursday caught in a sting operation collecting a bribe from a contractor. Hicks was arrested at her Kwamina and Thomas Street's South Commingsburg office. Crime Chief Wendell Blanham confirmed that she was questioned and later released on substantial bail. It is understood that the sting operation was set up after a businessman who usually provides security services to the ministry reported to the police that the PS was demanding monies from him before she signed off on invoices. Hicks and the businessman's father had a deal in which she would help him secure a contract with the ministry, and in return, he pays her $200,000 a month. After the businessman's father died, he took over his father's business, and that is when Hicks approached him to strike the same deal with him, to which he first agreed. However, after reportedly paying Hicks for 3 months now, he became tired and reported the matter to the police. In other news, given that persons with underlying conditions are more at risk of contracting COVID-19, it was revealed recently that during the last 8 months, over 19,000 persons have been newly diagnosed with chronic diseases. This is according to the 2021 mid-year report that was released by the Ministry of Finance. According to the report, as of June, nearly 60% of all COVID-19 deaths recorded in the country were persons who had complications arising from arterial hypertension and type 2 diabetes. The country so far has recorded 825 COVID-19 related deaths since the first death was detected in March last year. With the limited health force dispersed to respond to COVID-19, the report states that during the first half of 2021, nearly 9,000 persons were screened for non-communicable or chronic diseases. And moving on. A 58-year-old woman who yesterday accompanied her son to court for a matter collapsed and died at the Vigilance Magistrates Court moments after complaining of feeling unwell. The dead woman has been identified as Gloria Thomas of Vigilance South East Coast Demerara. While the woman was waiting for her son's matter to be called, she later entered the courtroom where she collapsed. The emergency medical technicians were called in, and when they arrived at the court, they administered oxygen, but Gloria remained unconscious. She was then rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. And to wrap things up this morning, let's tell you that 2 more persons are now dead following bee attacks at separate locations. The 2 persons have been identified as 62-year-old Sir Paul Rishi Hemraj of Blackbush Polder and 58-year-old Dorothy Adams of Rotterdam East Bank Demerara. That should be East Bank Berbice. Hemraj, a ranger and former chairman of the Water Users Association in Blackbush, was in the back dam when 2 other rangers, Transradat Nanku and Rajendra Mohan, together with an excavator operator and some other farmers, when Africanized bees attacked. Meanwhile, Dorothy Adams was walking back home from a nearby shop yesterday when Africanized bees attacked her on the road. On Thursday, another man was attacked by bees in the Eversham Back Dam, and he too died following the attack. And with that, we've come to the end of this morning's newscast. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.